BILT 2.0 has brought major changes to the credit card community. It has kind of reset the game in many ways. And there are a lot of folks who are very worried that it's too good and can't last. I've got some concern about that, but I'm going to make hay while the sun is shining and get as many points as I can. But you know that BILT in BILT 2.0 has come out with 3 different cards. They have their blue card, which is the no annual fee basic card, the Obsidian card, which is their $95 kind of entry level travel card, and then they have the BILT Palladium, almost $500 a year, but wow, what a card. And so today I want to talk about particularly what this credit card world looks like now that we have the BILT Palladium card. Because for me, who would consider myself an apex strategist, that's one of the different categories I have for the types of credit card users. For me, the BILT Palladium card has to be in my wallet. It is the most valuable card I have because I am getting over 3x on everything on my basic spend. So that changes all the other multipliers and how valuable they are. In other words, if I'm getting 3.17x on all of my spend, which based upon my spending annually as I've evaluated it, that's what my basic earnings are going to be on the BILT Palladium card, counting in my mortgage points, counting in the points accelerator. So since I'm going to get 3.1x, that means that every other multiplier that's 3x or less is suddenly irrelevant. And that really changes everything, because if you don't know this, almost every other card, the standard used to be you had 1x on everything, you'd have some 2x categories, and then the really good categories were at 3x. Well, now suddenly there are a whole bunch of cards that have no place in my wallet for my spending that's not going towards a sign-up bonus, for just my everyday general spending, because I don't want to pull that card out of my wallet if I'm only going to get 3x when I'm going to get more with my BILT Palladium card with points that are arguably more valuable than anyone else's. So what I thought I'd do is compile a list of cards that are still, in some cases, relevant post-BILT. So that's what I'm going to discuss with you today. Please hit the like and subscribe button and let me share these. It's not a long list, because there aren't a lot of cards that have any multipliers that are over that 3.17x that I plan to get with my BILT Palladium card. Now, when it comes to the BILT Palladium card, the numbers will look somewhat different based upon your spending. You know, if you just are doing 75% of your mortgage in spend every month, you're going to get a really high return. It's going to be right at that 3x. And then if you can add on, if you do a little bit more spending and you can add on some points accelerator, that means it's upping $5,000 of your spend to 3x. Well, then you're starting to combine even more. It can be more or less. What's really strange is it kind of has an arc, right? So if you spend so much, then you get up to 3x, up to 3.1x, up to 3.2x, up to 3.3x if you're using the accelerator and paying your mortgage or your rent with the card. But then as you spend even more, it starts to get a little less and a little less and a little less. So for me, for my case, it's going to be about 3.17x if I spend about what I did last year in my spending and use the BILT Palladium card for everything except my sign-up bonuses and other categories like dining where I have higher spend multipliers. For you, it might look a little different. But either way, any way you slice it, it's probably going to be pretty close to that 3x mark. So what cards then have been completely wiped away in their relevance? Well, there's a lot of them. Things like, really great cards. Things like the Citi Strata Premier. It doesn't have any, and we're not talking in portals, okay? So let me put that out there. If you're thinking, well, portal earnings, that's a very, very different thing. So this video is not going to consider the 10x you can get in Citi Portal or Capital One Portal or the 12x with the Citi Strata Elite. No. We're talking about just straight spending categories. Well, the Citi Strata Premier has a whole bunch of 3x categories. It is not a fantastic card unless you have the BILT Palladium, because then suddenly you're going to be earning less every time, no matter where you swipe that card. That's true of things like the autograph card, which is a really good no annual fee card, a lot of 3X categories, but nothing that's 4X or more. And so what cards now have relevance? Well, it's a pretty short list. And in the first issuer that we're going to discuss, Capital One, the answer is none. There are no Capital One cards that I know of, and you may know of some, and maybe I missed them. I don't know everything in the Capital One ecosystem, but I can tell you the Venture X is no longer relevant. It's getting 2X everywhere. I can tell you that the Saver cards, they used to be fantastic. I mean, 3X, and then you could pair it with the Venture X as a 2X catch-all. But when your catch-all is over 3X, suddenly Capital One doesn't have any cards that have any relevance in my daily wallet. The next one, and this one's very disappointing to me because they are one of my favorite issuers, and I talk about them all the time on the channel, is Citibank. Citibank, for me, still is going to have value because I have the old Citi Prestige card, and that card gives me 5X dining, 5X on airfare. So that still has relevance. But I can't recommend that to people because nobody else can get it. I'm grandfathered into it. So what's still relevant? Well, not the Premier card. That one's not relevant. But what is relevant is the Citi Custom Cash cards. Now, the Citi Custom Cash gives 5X on a category of your choice, and they give a whole list of different categories: grocery, dining, gas, all sorts of stuff, home improvement stores. And so if you have one or multiple custom caches, those 5X categories up to $500 in spend, those could still be very, very relevant. However, the catch is you still have to have a card to be able to transfer them out to partners. So even though that card is relevant and the Premier card is not relevant, you might have to hold the Premier card just to be able to use the points that you get at 5X with the custom cash, be able to transfer them to partners. So really the only card in Citi's setup that would have relevance now, unless you were to have the Prestige like I have, would be that one. Now, someone would say, well, what about the Citi Strata Elite? And I love the Citi Strata Elite. We have it, and it does have a arguably relevant category only on Friday and Saturday nights, which is a 6X dining category on what they call Citi Nights. But it's just on Friday and Saturday nights. So I didn't feel I could include it in relevance because it's very niche. You've got to remember to use it at certain times. So that 6X, to me, I'm going to exclude it from the list, even though I really like the card, because it's just not consistent enough. So Citi, really, the only one I can think of that is really, really valuable for this would be those custom caches, and the more, the better. Interestingly, Wells Fargo has at least two cards that have some relevance. The first, of course, is their Attune card. The Attune is a no annual fee card. Now, you can't really transfer out to partners unless you have the autograph card, which would be fine because even though you would never need to spend on it, it would give you, with no annual fee, access to their transfer partners, or the next card we're going to talk about that has some relevance. But the Attune card itself is a 4X in a lot of really kind of quirky categories. I mean, this card gives you 4X like on pet grooming and gyms, and I mean, stuff that are kind of not common in the points and miles space and in the credit card world, which I think it's a really cool card. I haven't been able to get approved for it, but I think it's neat. And you get a bunch of 4X things on, like when you go to the barber or to the hair salon, or when you do your pet boarding and stuff like that. So I think that could have some relevance because 4X is indeed better than even the 3 point whatever X you'd be earning with the BILT Palladium. The next one is the Autograph Journey card. Now that's their card that's $95 a year. It's kind of the card that's an upgraded version of their no annual fee autograph card. But it has a 5X and a 4X category that are both pretty useful. It has a 5X category on hotels directly. So if you're staying in hotels and if you're paying cash for it, you could get 5X with that. And that is definitely better than what you'd get by just swiping your Palladium card. It also has 4X on flights booked directly, which again, that makes it a relevant card. So Wells Fargo has two cards that are somewhat relevant in a post-BILT Palladium world. The next one, and this one kind of surprised me because this is definitely, and if you watch the channel, you know this, not one of my favorite issuers, but Chase. Chase has some fairly relevant cards. Now, the first one I'm going to talk about, and I did include it, but it's kind of a little bit like the Citi Strata Elite in that, is it relevant? Yes, but it's not perfect. And that is the Freedom Flex card. That's a no annual fee card. Again, you can't transfer out the points unless you have one of the Sapphire cards or the $95 ink card, but it does give 5X in rotating categories. So sometimes it's going to be dining, sometimes it's going to be grocery, sometimes it's going to be gas based upon what quarter it is in the year. So is that better? It is. Is it perfect? I get really frustrated with these rotating category cards because I don't want to have to think about activating it and is this the right category to use it, to pull it out of the desk drawer, to put it in my wallet for just 3 months and then pull it back out and put it back in the desk drawer. So the rotating category thing may work perfect for you. And if it does, it is relevant in the post-BILT Palladium world. But then it has a few other cards. The Ink Cash card, which is a business card, and I don't have a lot of those included here, and there probably are some business cards that are very relevant. But the Ink Cash card, it gives you 5X on some very useful categories. You can use it at office supply stores, and you can buy a lot of stuff at office supply stores. And if you know, you know. I mean, it's very, very good. It gives you 5X on your phone plan. And that could be a very, very useful category, especially for a card that's a no annual fee card. Now, again, to unlock the transfer partners, you have to have the $95 ink card or one of the Sapphire cards. So that's something that has to be remembered. But I do think the Ink Cash is very relevant, even in the post-Palladium world. And the other one is the Chase Sapphire Reserve. Now, I've not been a big fan of the Chase Sapphire Reserve, but I will tell you, I'm starting to soften on it. I'm starting to see that maybe for the right person, this card could be pretty useful. Because even though it's very different than it was before the refresh, the Chase Sapphire Reserve does have a couple of relevant categories. And if you take out their earnings through the portal, which are very good, but we're not considering those, it does have 4X directly with hotels and 4X directly on flights purchased from the airline. So 4X on those two categories are very good. Now, the other thing that has to be understood is that Chase points really kind of go together with BILT points pretty well because they have many of the same transfer partners, including Hyatt, including United, including Southwest. So that could be, there could be a strong argument for the CSR being very relevant along with the BILT Palladium to complement it in a post-Palladium world. Now, to me, the strongest issuer that has great multipliers with several of their cards post-Palladium is Amex. Because Amex, even though they have high annual fee cards and you got a lot of credits and all of that, as far as straight multipliers go, you've got the Amex Gold Card. 4X dining, 4X grocery up to I think $25,000 a year in spend. 4X, American Express membership reward points, that's a very, very good multiplier. And especially on dining and grocery, two of the most common things people spend a lot of money on. The gold card, it's very, very relevant. The other one is the Amex Platinum card. The Amex Platinum card only has one multiplier that's relevant. But of course, the card has all sorts of other perks. But it does have that 5X on flights directly with the airline, which is better than if you were to swipe your BILT card and get the 3 point whatever X. You're going to get 5X with the Platinum card. So an argument can definitely be made for its relevance. And then the last one I'll mention is the Amex Business Gold Card. The Business Gold Card is interesting because, again, high annual fee, I think it's $375 a year. You get some credits back and all of that in typical Amex style. But it has 4X in two categories that you use the most in a particular month. So you get 4X, and some of them are useful, like office supply stores. We've already talked about how useful those are. You've got things like cell providers, very, very useful. You've got things like you can use it for gas. What a great 4X category. So a lot of options to get 4X, which is better than you'll get with your BILT Palladium card. So I know this isn't a long list of cards, but if you think of others, and there probably are some that I missed, I fully recognize that. But if you think of others that are still relevant as far as their direct multipliers in a post-BILT Palladium world, please put those down in the comments because I want to know about them, because I'm building out my spending setup and I want the maximum multipliers in every category I possibly can find. So put those down in the comments below. Thank you for watching today. If you would consider my channel membership, it's just $2.99 a month. You get special videos every single week for channel members and other perks, including early release videos. And then if you are a person who really wants to maximize strategy and have a community of people who really know their stuff, I have my Spreadsheet Warriors tier. That's $19.99 a month. And we have everything, access to everything that the lower tier has, but also we do live Zoom sessions once or twice a month where you can interact in real time with me and with other high-level credit card users. So consider both of those. You can look at the link below or the join button. Thanks for being here today. Please hit the like and subscribe button. Put your comments down below, and I will see you here next time.